Hello and welcome to Nikipedia. I'm Nikita Rana, and on today's episode, we're going to be discussing if it's a good idea for us to boycott Chinese goods. Yes, this video is a few days late, but we thought we'll do it anyway because it's an important issue. And a recent TOI article talks about a survey which says that 87% Indians are ready to boycott Chinese goods. Now, if we look at India, about 15% of our imports come from China. For our pharma companies, a lot of their APIs come from there, and for our manufacturers in auto, let's say for a company like Bajaj, some of their parts come from China. And if you look at mobile phones, a few Chinese companies have set up their factories in India: Oppo, Xiaomi, Vivo. And so if we boycott these phones, Indian jobs would get affected. And in electronics, we're heavily dependent on China because 70% of what we produce, the components come from there. Now, even if we were successful in boycotting China, we would affect about 2.1% of Chinese exports. And exports as a whole form 17.4% of China's GDP. So, in total, we would just affect 0.36% of China's GDP. Even if we do this, what alternatives do we have? Because Chinese products overall are good quality and come at affordable prices. So our options would be either going in for inferior quality or buying the more expensive products. And even if well-to-do Indians choose this path because that's what they think a good nationalist should do, the options for the poor section of society are very, very limited because they don't really have the leeway to spend more. Also, nobody really supports Chinese aggression on the LAC, but unfortunately, boycotting Chinese goods is economically more harmful for us than it is for them. For Indian companies who import raw materials or components from China, finding alternatives could be tedious and could also lead to an increase in prices, which will finally be passed on to consumers. This will increase the price of their products and make them less competitive globally. There are already some reports that indicate that the government might tell companies like BSNL to rework the 4G tender to bar Chinese manufacturers. And according to analysts, this will cost them about 10 to 15% more. China is the world's factory, and even if you buy, for instance, a non Chinese phone, a lot of the components might still come from China and could be dependent on their supply chain. A lot of Indian startups like Paytm, Zomato, Big Basket, Byju's, Oyo have investments from China, and Indian capital at the moment doesn't have the ability to invest that amount. The Confederation of Indian Traders has drawn up a list of 3,000 products that can be manufactured in India. And even if we take an optimistic view, out of everything that we import from China, we can probably produce 20% of that in India by the end of 2021. We can stretch that to maybe 30% in a slightly longer period. But beyond that, things will take a much longer time because for things like construction equipment, for metros, nuclear reactors, and electronic parts, we don't at the moment have the capability to produce these at the cost and quality that China offers. That's it from me. Thanks for watching.